Shabbat Shalom, family. Glory and honor to the Father, Yahweh, creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and to Messiah, Yahweh Shah, who is our high priest and the atonement for our sin, who sits at the right hand of the Father, representing righteousness and atonement on our behalf, so that we can receive the perfect righteousness of the Father and his Spirit. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh. Glory and honor to Messiah, Yahweh Shah. Greetings to the awakening 12 tribes of Israel that are now returning to Father Yahweh, and the 144,000 among them who are the forerunners of the return of the Messiah and the establishment of the Messianic kingdom to come in just the next 7 years plus. Greetings to the precious souls among the Gentiles, the children of Ham, Shem, and Japheth that are not of the bloodline of Isaac and Jacob, but are grafted into the blood through the faith of the Messiah and the grace of the Father. Greetings to the chat, Isha Shama, Sister Azariah, by Israel, Brother Beckman, Brother Superstar, Brother Gary Joseph, Only One Way, Brother Baldy, Mike Check, Brother Castle King, Yafi, Sister Ways, Brother Kelly, Tito Bon Wiothesia, and Sister Glasgow, Akawan Banya. Greetings to all of you. Praise the Most High Yahweh. Relaxing your mind. Greetings. Shabbat Shalom, EE. We are continuing our study today in Daniel chapter 11, and we're going to be going through a very important part. Now, I want to make sure I remind you of certain things. Unlike most studies of Bible prophecy, our studies involve real events and how it really has affected us as the true Hebrews of the Bible, is affecting us now, and will affect us in the future. As the Bible says, the prophecy is for the servants to show us things that must shortly come to pass. And of course, in the book of Revelation, he told John to write what you have already seen, to write the things that are now happening, and to write the things that are about to come. And that's what prophecy covers. So as we're now in a very crucial piece of Daniel chapter 11, we're going to understand all three of those areas: things that have already happened, things that are happening, and things that are about to happen. Now, Daniel, as we know, was being shown the captivity of his people. He was being shown how they would come out of the Babylonian captivity, rebuild their temple, and repopulate Jerusalem, only for all of it to be destroyed again at the time of the Messiah. And he was also shown that there's a long period of time until the cleansing of the sanctuary. All this come into play as we have studied Daniel chapter 8 and Daniel chapter 9 and Daniel chapter 10. Now he was being shown the dominance of the heathen powers. And at the end, as we see, it is led by the children of Japheth. Now, we were talking about just the other day when we studied this. Let me see if I still have it here. Oh, I don't know if I have it here. But remember, I showed you, I'm going to write it down again. I showed you 4 kings. Let me write it down again. I showed you 4 kings, if you recall. And I asked you all to write them down. Remember that? And remember this? And we did this the other day. Remember this? They were north, south, east, and west. And this is how Daniel 11 began, with the divisions of what was the Greek Empire into north, south, east, and west. And there were 4 kings. And they ended up being really 2 by the time we got to verse 20 of Daniel 11, and then it became one, the king of the north. Now, this is where the king is transformed into a religious power. And we talked about the king of the north becoming Catholicism, and the king of the south becoming Islam. Okay, we talked about the king of the north becoming Catholicism and the king of the south becoming Islam. And then we already studied where the Edomites, in fact, let's take a look at that. Ezekiel chapter 36. So we're going to put all this together as we're coming through chapter 11. And you're going to also see again past, present, and future. And as we're going to Ezekiel chapter 36, I want to remind us that all the prophecies we study, the centerpiece of the prophecies are Israel. All of the prophecies are only relevant because of how they affect Israel. Okay? There's no other relevance because Israel, as the Bible tells us, is the apple of the Father's eye. And we have many witnesses from Moses to Ezekiel to Amos to David and others and Zechariah that tell us there is no other chosen people on the planet but Israel. And then people will always ask, because we're dominated by the children of Yafet. So the children of Yafet will always ask, well, what about the Gentiles? Because they worry about themselves. But the truth is, Israel is the focus, and the Gentiles that graft into Israel are getting a blessing. If you're not grafted into Israel, you ain't got no blessing. And of course, as we're going to Ezekiel 36, the Bible told us in the promise to Abraham that became Abraham, I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Then he went and said the same thing to Isaac, and he told the same thing to Israel through Moses. I will bless them in Numbers. Remember Numbers 24. I will bless them that bless thee. I will curse them that curse thee. So again, Israel is the thee he's talking about. Okay, Israel is the thee he's talking about. So Israel is what the focus of all the Bible prophecy is. And it's the focus of all the movements of the earth. We are the focus. And so we ourselves are witnesses to what the truth is. Remember what he said in Isaiah to his people. He said, you are my witnesses. For example, can we bear witness that we are descendants of slaves? I'm just saying, is this a theory? Am I giving you a theory that says if you're a Hebrew in the United States of America, you're a descendant of a slave? So, and how do we know this? We know this from our own families. It's not like we got to guess. We don't even have to read it in the book except to get more details, but we are descendants of slaves in America. Same if you're in the UK. Same if you're in France. Same if you're in Portugal. Same if you're in Brazil or in any place where they had us in chains. You are a descendant of slaves. You could say, if you want to, my wife and I always joke, I've been watching baseball this year because of the Mets, but there's a lot of Dominicans on the Mets. And every time Dominican come out, we say, oh, no, Papi, me no black Papi. We just joking around. Say, oh, no, Papi, me no black. You could say that if you want to. You're a descendant of a slave. You could speak Spanish. You could call yourself by a Spanish name. You're a descendant of a slave. Period. Okay? So we don't have to read about that. We are witnesses of that. Okay, we're witnesses of that. So there's certain things we're going to read about tonight that we will know by our own witness. That's what makes prophecy real. See, it's not real if you're theorizing about stuff. And most people do. Most people give you a theory of a prophecy. And it's just what it is. It's a theory, some abstract thing they try to tell you might have happened, right? But no, real prophecy involves Israel. And the effect of prophecy is on Israel. And Israel can bear witness. In fact, Israel is brought into existence for these last days to bear witness. Okay? Everybody got that? So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. But here, Ezekiel 36, because we talk about Islam and we talk about Christianity, right? But we didn't talk about the third wheel of the threefold union of man-made religion, which is Ashkenazi Judaism, right? No, Papi, I know black. I Dominican, I know black. No, Papi. Oh, man. And the Jamaicans try to say, oh, I'm not black, I'm Jamaican. You're a descendant of a slave. I don't care what you call yourself. You're a descendant of a slave. Okay? It's like the president, right? You may not like the president, but whoever it be, this time it's Donald Trump. You may call him the orange man, and he's orange. You know, he might be a liar or whatever, but what he is, he's still the president of the United States. You may not like it, but that's the truth, right? When Obama was president, they call him all kind of names, Antichrist and all this 666. What he was still, president of the United States. Okay, period. So you could be from Jamaica, you could be from Puerto Rico, you could be from Dominican Republic or Haiti or Barbados or Bahamas or St. Croix or whatever you want to be, Bermuda. Guess what you really are? A descendant of a slave. Your descendants were in chains. Period. Okay? No matter where which one of them you are, you're a descendant of a slave. And all the descendants of the slaves are Hebrews. Okay? So, very simple. Somebody could break it down. So, we're not all, well, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a descendant of a slave, you're a descendant of a Hebrew. Okay? So, that being the case, you can bear witness of some of this prophecy. Now, the chattel slavery, that's what we was in. In the United States, it was especially chattel slavery, okay? You could bear witness to this stuff. And you're going to see. So here, well, we got to cover that third wheel real quick, right? So here, Ezekiel 36, it tells us about who the people are that took over the land when we were scattered from it, right? When we were scattered over the rivers of Ethiopia, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, there were people that took over the land, that filled the void, that took over the land, right? Some of them were the Samaritans, and some of them, Ezekiel 36 tells us about. Ezekiel 36, beginning at verse 5, and from verse 5 down to verse 7, Ezekiel 36 from 5 to 7. Yeah, that's the difference between us and any other people in the history of the planet that were enslaved. Others in the planet's history could buy their way out of their slavery. When you are a chattel slave, you are forever a slave, no matter what you do. And the people that put us in slavery, the leaders of that, they still think of us as just high-priced slaves. I don't care if a basketball player makes $200 million. To the people that own him, And I mean that. He's a high-priced slave. I don't care if you come in here and you're a mathematical genius and you go to NASA and you discover stuff. To them, you're real smart. Slave. Period. And as long as this system exists where you're a second-class citizen, you're always going to be a slave until the Messiah breaks the yoke permanently, which he's getting ready to do in the next 7 years. Praise the Most High. Now, Ezekiel chapter 36 from verse 5 to 7. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land unto their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with deceitful minds, to cast it out for a prey. So the Bible is telling us that Idumea took over our land. Now, Idumea is another name for what, brethren? What is Idumea? Well, who are they? Who is Idumea? Think about that. Let me read this. Prophecy, therefore, concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. So yeah, Esau is Idumea. And from our studies, it's not all the descendants of Esau. It's one particular group of descendants of Esau. Which one does the Bible tell us are this particular group that are the real one? That's right, the Amalekites. So the Amalekites are descendants of Esau. The Amalekites are also Semites. They're not Israelites. Israelites come from Jacob. Amalekites come from Esau. Jacob have I loved, and Esau I have hated. So the Amalekites from Idumea took over the land. Let's get another witness. Obadiah. Obadiah is only like one little chapter, one little letter. But notice what Obadiah says here. Obadiah, from verse 1 down to verse 4, how it describes our friends from Edom. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small. So Edomia is called, he's small. I have made thee small among the heathen and greatly despised. So there's a group of people that are Amalekites that are small as far as population among the heathen. They're considered heathen and they're small among them, but they're despised by the heathen. Do we know anybody like that? And they took over the land that belonged to us. Do we know anybody like that? Let's keep reading. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. So these people took over our land. They're small in terms of population among the heathen. The heathen despise them, but they dwell in high places. They actually were mountain dwellers, cave dwellers. And spiritually speaking, they dwell in high places, you know, like spiritual wickedness in high places. It says, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. See, so we have a group of people that are Edomites that took over our land, and they're high on the earth. They're despised by the heathen, okay, and they're smaller in number than the rest of their heathen cousins. Do we know anybody like that? Wait a minute. And they're royalty. Yeah, look, what? This is Numbers. We just did this the other day. Numbers chapter 24. Numbers chapter 24. This is Balaam when he was sent to curse Israel. But instead of the curse, he got a blessing. He gave a blessing, right? I'm going to read in Numbers 24 from verse 1 down to verse 9. Numbers chapter 24. This is our third witness, I believe, isn't it? So we did Ezekiel 36, Obadiah from 1 to 4, and here we are now in Moses. Numbers chapter 24. Numbers 24 from verse 1 to 9. And when Balaam saw that it pleased Yahweh to bless Israel, he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes. And the Spirit of the Most High came upon him, and he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, hath said, the man whose eyes are open hath said, he hath said, I which heard the words of the Most High, which saw the vision of Al Shaddai, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the river's side, as the trees of line aloes, which Yahweh hath planted, as cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters. His king shall be higher than Agag, which means Agag was high. Agag, of course, is a Amalekite king. So the promised king of Israel is going to be higher than Agag. But until that king comes, Agag is high. See that? And his kingdom shall be exalted. Yahweh brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with his arrows. He couched, he lay down as a lion, as a great lion. Who shall stir him up? Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. See, Israel is the centerpiece of prophecy and blessing in the Bible. And Agag, before the king of Israel returns, who we know to be Messiah, Agag is high. So we got these people. They're small in number among the heathen. They're Amalekites. They took over the land of Israel, and they're despised among their own cousins. They're cave dwellers. You know, they come out of mountains, like Caucasus Mountains. The Bible does something. The Bible is something else. It describes something, and when it's finished the description, you know, and I know there's only one group that fits the description. There you go. So there's your third cog, right? So you got Christianity, you got Islam, and now you got Amalek, right? You got Amalek, the Edomites. Okay. All there, all three accounted for. Here we go. So now we now again, did y'all was it hard to find out the three? Did we have to go through a whole lot of philosophy and history books to find the threefold union of? No, we didn't. It was right here. See how easy that is? That's what I mean. See, please read your Bible. All the answers, especially for the Hebrews and the grafted in Israelites. The Most High has this book. to guide us through the end. More than anybody else. Nobody else is going to be able to understand this but you, because he has it for you to know. Okay? That's what I'm saying. It's for you. I know I'm saying stuff somebody's going to be listening and say, no, my church has probably, I don't care. The Bible is telling us Israel is the centerpiece, period, end of story. And we are Israel. And we ain't French either. We are the centerpiece of the Bible's prophecy. There you go. So now let's look at a couple of other things, though. A couple of other things. I want to go to 2 Thessalonians, because we saw the king of the north, right? And the last thing we looked at, if you remember, was the raiser of taxes. Do y'all remember that? It was Daniel chapter 11, verse 20. They shall stand up a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. And we found that raiser of taxes in the book of St. Luke, didn't we? We found that raiser of taxes, and we found it to be Augustus, the raiser of taxes, right? So we know that Daniel chapter 11, verse 20 is Caesar Augustus. Now we know where we at. Okay, a raiser of taxes, that's at the time of the birth of Messiah. We know that's Rome. So now we understand the king of the north is Rome. Okay, but the king of the north is going to go through, or in prophecy has gone through, a transformation. Whereas when we're reading Daniel 11, you are looking at them trying to jockey for power, right? Through marriage, through conquest, through wars, battles. They're trying, the king of the north and the king of the south are fighting it out. And they're trying to gain power. Finally, the king of the north overcomes power, right? You're going to see, though, a transformation of the king into the beast. So first, let's look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And let's begin at verse, let me see. I'm going to begin at verse 3. Because that's important, verse 3, to start us off here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Watch this. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So wait a minute. What day is he talking about? Well, if you look at verse 2, he tells you, it says, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as the day of Messiah is at hand. So he's saying the day of Messiah will not come until there be a falling away first. Now let's look at this for 1 second before we move forward. He said, the day of Messiah will not come until there be a falling away first. And notice what he said with respect to the reason of the falling away. Watch. He said, except there be a falling away first, the falling away will cause the man of sin to be revealed. So what is the falling away? That is his true people falling away from the faith of righteousness. His true people falling away from their position as the chosen people on the planet. His true people going into slavery. Okay? And when that happens, darkness takes over the earth, as we are shown in Revelation chapter 8 with the first 4 trumpets. Darkness takes over the earth. Remember, wormwood came down? You remember that? Wormwood came, and then darkness came with wormwood. Wormwood is false religion, and darkness came with false religion. So now there's a falling away of the people of light. Listen to me now. Because we were in slavery. There's a falling away of the people in light. And there's a rise of the man of sin, the son of perdition. So as a result of us falling away and getting put into slavery, the man of sin rises up, the son of perdition. Okay, so far, everybody with me so far? So the Messiah, he said, the Messiah will not return until the falling away and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Okay, so everybody here, I want to make sure we hear. So we went into slavery. That was the falling away. First, there was the falling away of us rejecting Messiah, right? Rejecting Messiah and actually handing him over to what we thought was our friends with Rome. And we going into slavery, and our city and our temple be destroyed, right? That was the beginning of our enslavement. That happened, and then the falling away continued until the man of sin was revealed. Let's read some more about this man of sin in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. The man of sin, verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Most High or that is worshipped, so that he, as Most High, sitteth in the temple of Most High, showing himself that he is Most High Yahweh. So the man of sin takes on a position of religious consequence, that he exalts himself above the chosen people's God. The only true God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But this man of sin exalts himself above the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And why? Because we have fallen away. Does that make sense so far? So we fall away, and in the vacuum comes the man of sin. And this man of sin exalts himself. Well, what do we mean? That means it's man-made. It's man-made. It's a religious power that's man-made. So he's exalting man. He's exalting himself. No, but you catching the arc of one, y'all. You just a little ahead of me. I'm just, I'm moving along there, but I'm you're just a little ahead of me. That's all. But you catching it. Everybody got me so far. We in 2 Thessalonians. This is all warming up. It's when we get to Daniel 11. You'll see when we get there. But so this man of sin has to be revealed first. We have to have fallen away. And this man of sin exalts himself as the Most High in place of the Father Yah, in place of the Messiah, in place of all that the Father has set up in terms of his chosen people, the feasts, the way the years are counted, the worship, everything is replaced. And in fact, the chosen people are themselves replaced. As we just read, they're replaced by some Edomites that take over their land and try to dwell in Shem's tents. Is that correct or not? Did we get that right? Y'all catching that so far? You seeing the picture? See what I'm saying right now? I want to make sure everybody's there. Okay, so we still here. Wait a minute, we're not finished yet. So wait a minute. Verse 5. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Now, let's talk about King of the North. So King of the North is Rome. Augustus Caesar and all of his cronies, right? But there's a transformation whereby the power of Caesar and that type of ilk goes away and it's replaced by something else, something of religious nature, because this thing thinks it's God. So it's now, that's what he means when he said, he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So the Caesar type situation with the emperor type situation is being replaced by another situation that's a religious situation. Okay? And historically speaking, there was this empire. Have y'all ever heard this name before? The Byzantine Empire. You ever heard that? Byzantine? What's Byzantine? Byzantine was under Constantine. which is why you had Rome and you had Constantinople as two capitals of the Byzantine Empire, a Christian empire. Okay, a Christian empire. He who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And the man of sin is going to be revealed. Wait a minute, we're not finished yet. Verse 8. Now, once he letteth, and the man of sin is revealed, verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Asatan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So this power that replaced the Caesars and took over on the religious side is in power by Asatan. And verse 10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So this man leads a group of people that don't have a love for the truth, because this man is not true. Verse 11. And for this cause, the Most High Yah shall send them strong delusion. They should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So there is a lie abounding, that people are being overwhelmed with the delusion of this lie. This lie is coming from the man of sin that replaced the emperors of Rome, and he's a religious power, and he replaced the emperors of Rome, and this religious power exalts himself because he exalts his religion, which is man-made. And when we were slaves, before we were slaves, right? When we came across the rivers of Ethiopia, the suppliants, right? What religion did we become? When we came across the rivers of Ethiopia and we settled in Africa, what religion did we become? I'm going to let y'all tell me. That's right. We became Muslims. We became Muslims. Some of our people held on to the traditions that they held from their fathers, but we became Muslims. So when we became Muslims, here's a crazy question for you. And we were taken into slavery by the children of Japhet. At the time, they took us and put us in chains and brought us into them ships. Were we worshiping Jesus? Were we worshiping Jesus at the time the children of Japhet bought us from Hamites? No, we were not. No, we were not. So we were taken into slavery and actually coerced and forced into the worship of white Jesus. And it wasn't just 1 year or 2 years. You're talking about over 1,000 years. Now, the United States has been in existence for 400 years, but we were brought here at the beginning of its existence, even before it was officially the United States. We were brought here. And we were forced into the Christian religion by the people of England, Portugal, France, Spain. Am I lying to y'all yet? So we weren't worshiping no white Jesus and crosses and Christianity when they brought us in them ships. We were Muslims. And we have become Muslims from them enslaving us and forcing us into that religion from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so we became followers of the religion that exalts itself above our Father Yah. That's what happened to us. And to this day, we are brainwashed, except we are now awakening by the grace and mercy of the Heavenly Father. According to the prophetic word, we are now awakening as to who we are and from whence we came. And that is breaking the chain of the brainwashing that has had us for many, many centuries. Praise the Most High. Okay, but wait a minute. It said that this is after the working of Asatan, which reminds me of another witness. This is Revelation chapter 13. Revelation 13. Let's take a look at that one. Revelation chapter 13. And let's begin at verse 1 and watch the similarities here. Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to begin at verse 1. And I'm going to go down to verse 7. Revelation 13, 1 through 7. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And wait, what? Let's read that again. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now we know the dragon is Asatan. And didn't Paul just write that is after the power of Asatan with all deceivableness of unrighteousness? And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? So we're talking about a religious power out of Rome, where the world is worshiping it. And the world is being deceived. You see, brethren, this is a mass deception. This is not no small group of people being deceived. This is the majority of planet Earth being deceived. And this power that's deceiving it is representing a religion, a man-made religion. And it's even got the Hebrews following it. Let's keep going. Verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So this religious power received power by Asatan to have power over all tongues and nations. And what did it do to the saints? It said, overcome the saints. Israel is the saints. This thing had power to overcome Israel. And it matches what we read in Daniel chapter 8. Let's go back to Daniel 8. It matches what Daniel 8 was saying here in Daniel chapter 8 about the little horn. Notice Daniel chapter 8, from verse 11 down to verse 13. Daniel 8 from 11 to 13. Actually, let me start from 10 to 13. Daniel 8 from 10 to 13. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down, and the host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice of the and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? So the saints are overcome by this power, and it just desecrates all the things that we have known. It just desecrates everything, cast the truth to the ground, so that lies are being received by the world. The whole world's receiving a lie. And we are falling away until we start to awaken. Y'all getting a bigger picture now? Wait till we get to Daniel 11. You're seeing it now, right? Okay. So now, Daniel chapter 11. So we finished at verse 20 with Augustus, right? So now, you're going to see a little bit more, probably, I say, you're going to see all the way down about 16 more verses of them fighting and fighting us. Okay. And we know of Revelation, the 7 churches, right? And you remember there was Ephesus and then there was Smyrna. And remember what he said about Smyrna? He said, you're going to receive tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. You remember he didn't find no fault in Smyrna. And he told them in Smyrna, don't worry about them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That's what he first said. And then he started saying, there's no rebuke in Smyrna. Only 2 churches received no rebuke. It was Smyrna and Philly. And we in Philly now. Okay. So Smyrna was the last like murderous persecution of the bloodline Hebrews. Okay. That's not true. There was more in Europe, but Smyrna was the one the Bible recalls before the falling away. The falling away started with the next church, Pergamos. Remember Balaam, and then came Thyatira with Jezebel. That's when the world was in darkness. That was it. That was the darkness. That was the revealing of the man in sin and all of that. Okay, so here this parallels that. So what you're going to see here is Rome fighting with other powers trying to attack it. It already raised taxes all over the earth to raise money because it was spread too thin. Sound familiar? Country spread too thin. Economy can't handle it. So he raises taxes and steals from all over the planet, right? And that's going to continue here. So let's start at verse 20. Daniel chapter 11, verse 20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. And in his estate he shall stand up a vile person, whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overthrown from before him, and shall be broken. Yea, also the prince of the covenant. So during their little struggles, Messiah is going to die. That's the sacrifice of Messiah. So we're still in Rome. We're still in the emperors of Rome. You know, I can name them by whatever, but, you know, we're dealing with the emperors of Rome at this point because he talks about Messiah dying, right? And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. He shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the province. He shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his father's father. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great army and mighty army. And he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings, that is north and south, both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for the end shall be at the time appointed. This is another thing that's real important here. If it wasn't the Most High keeping his eye on us, and we being the center of all this stuff, these people would have killed each other off the earth a long time ago. See, these people would have killed each other. See, he said, they shall speak lies, they shall not prosper, the end shall be at the, why do you have to say the end is at the time appointed? Because they would have killed themselves off. The earth among the heathen would have killed each other off many times over before now. Okay? Especially now, you're talking about nuclear weapons. The United States already dropped 2, and you got a madman in the White House right now. If it wasn't that the Most High has us, these people would have destroyed themselves off the earth. But the Most High is holding back the winds until we are sealed, period. That's the only reason these heathen are still alive. That's the only reason. Okay. The end is for the time appointed, and the Most High has it in his hand. Verse 28. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. And at the time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. For the ships of Kittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and shall in return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, even he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. This is where we're getting into Smyrna and Pergamos right here. We're getting into the 10 days tribulation, and then Balaam, when he says he shall have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. There's Balaam. That's Pergamos right there. Okay. His arm shall stand on his part, and he shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and take away the daily sacrifice, and shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. That man was called Constantine. Okay, that is where you now have Constantine. That was Pergamos with Balaam. Remember, he said, I have somewhat against thee, because you have that man Balaam that teaches my people to eat things sacrificing to idols and commit fornication. There it is right there. There it is right there. Okay, there it is right there. So now you're at the phase where the Roman history, the Roman power is now letting the religious power come forward. You're now in the area of the time called the Byzantine Empire. Okay, here you go. All right. Polluting the sanctuary, take away the daily sacrifice. It shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. Take away the true Hebrews and make now Christians. Okay. And such as do wickedly shall against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. Balaam. But the people that do know their Most High shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword and by flame and by captivity and by spoil many days. See, he shall overcome the saints and war against them. See? And when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Now you're going to see the complete transformation from king of the north into beast. From military, political, into straight religion. Verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. Didn't we just read that in 2 Thessalonians? And shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate he shall honor the God of forces. What is the God of forces? This is when they start to discover stuff. Right? Didn't they come with force when they discovered stuff? When they were discovering places, they came with God of forces. And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most stronghold with a strange God whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many and shall divide the land for gain. So this religious power sent out people that took over, that divided the land for gain, right? And got rich and acknowledged the power that allowed them to do this. And let's look at some of the people that fit that description. The Dutch did it in South Africa. The Portuguese did it in Brazil. The English did it in Jamaica. The French did it in Haiti. The Spanish did it in Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Central America, all of South America except Brazil. Okay? And then the pilgrims from the Americas did it and came and built up what became the United States of America. So you see all of these people spread out and divided the land for gain. They do have some things in common. What was the common religion of the Dutch, the Portuguese, the French, the Spanish, the Pilgrims, and the English? What was the common religious? It was Christianity. So when they acknowledge the God that the fathers knew not, it is the system of Christianity. That is the same thing as the strong delusion. It's the same thing as the one that got his power, seat, and authority from the dragon and persecuted the saints. We are the saints. We were not Christians when they came and took us from the west coast of Africa. We were not Christians when the Dutch came, when the Belgians came with Leopold. We were not Christians when they came to Boricua. We were not Christians when they came, but we became Christians. See? So now you have Christianity being introduced in Daniel chapter 11. The same power that is described in 2 Thessalonians as a strong delusion. The same power that's described as having the whole world follow it in Revelation chapter 13. The same power that overcame the saints. And here it says, those that forsake the covenant. That's us. Same power. All three areas. Same power. See? So we see this is the dominant God of forces that comes in and discovers stuff. We didn't even talk about Australia or the Philippines or New Zealand. We didn't even talk about that. All of that is in the same exact vein, same exact category, same thing. We didn't even talk about Ethiopia. People make a big deal over all of the old Christian books that are in Ethiopia, but they're not making a big deal that they're Christian books. Ethiopians weren't originally Christians. Ethiopians today will tell you they're descendants of Solomon. Have you all ever heard that before? Am I making that up? Or have you heard that? Are there not a large class of Ethiopians that tell you they are descendants of Judah? See, we're just bearing witness. We're not even talking about history books. So before there was Christianity, they were descendants of Judah. So at some point, they got converted to Christianity, which is the God of forces. They got discovered. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, see? So all of this bears witness to stuff that we have people that are alive, Ethiopians that will tell you this. We know we're descendants of slaves. We know we came from the shores of Africa. We know we were converted to Islam, right? We know that people that speak English come from English colonizers. People that speak Spanish come from Spanish colonizers. People that speak French come from French colonizers. People that speak Portuguese come from Portuguese colonizers. We're all witnesses. Okay, we're all witnesses. All of us bear witness. See? So again, this is prophecy that's already happened. See? So we're seeing what's already, everything that we have read so far is historical. It's already taken place. Right now, we are living, listen carefully, the results of those things that have taken place. Right now, Christianity is in existence. A lot of Hebrews are Christians. Okay. And we became Christians because we were slaves to Christians. Let me say it again. We became Christians because we were slaves to Christians. So you are following the religion of the people that put chains on your neck. Am I lying yet? Are not Christians following the religion of the people that put chains on their neck? Does that make sense that we should do that? Once you're awakened, then you don't do that no more. Now you're understanding why all of this happened to you. You understanding why they were permitted. They were permitted to put chains on your neck. You understand why. That doesn't excuse them. They still gonna get what they got coming. But now you know why that happened. Why did they make the color of your skin a badge of dishonor? Am I lying yet? Did not the people of Europe make the color of your skin a badge of dishonor? You wouldn't even knew there was anything wrong with you, except they pointed it out to you. They tell you, you black, something wrong with you. You cursed because you dark. Isn't that what the Christians taught you? It's in the Bible. You're cursed because you're dark. Ham was cursed. See? They told you that. The Bible didn't tell you that because the very Messiah that they claim to worship looks like you. And they try their best to tell, oh, but he really just had olive color skin. Get out of here, man. The Messiah's a black man. Period. Period. Okay? But they try to make the color of our skin a badge of dishonor so that we are a byword among the heathen because we're brown. Which even among the heathen, most of them understand that's stupid, right? And they're embarrassed by it. So they'll come and say, why do you make everything about race? No, I don't make anything about race. Y'all created this thing called race that has affected us for centuries. It's your fault, period. Okay? And you don't want to talk about that because it's like going back to your vomit. You can't escape. We're witnesses. You understand? We bear witness. That's what it is that's bothering them. We're bearing witness. Okay? And they don't like that because they don't want truth. They want to live in a delusion. Do you realize the majority of the people of the United States of America and Britain and all of the countries that are in the G10 especially, they are in the bubble of a delusion. They are in the bubble of a delusion. Now, their delusion is not going to stop the truth from going forward. It's just going to bust their bubble. And when it busts, it's going to be too late for them. They're living in the bubble of a delusion. Christianity is a delusion. In fact, the Bible just described it as strong delusion. Strong delusion. And when you were awakened in the spirit of the Father and in his word, and this is the amazing thing. This book here was translated by a heathen Christian. It was translated by a heathen Christian. Now, some people will imply that because it was translated by a heathen Christian, that it's a white man's book. But the people that make that implication have obviously never read it. Because when you read the book, the heathen Christian that translated it is telling you that his church is the whore. And before he was tortured and strangled and burned at the stake, he said that. My church is the whore. Martin Luther said the same thing. They bore witness that their own church was the whore. Okay? They're telling you in the translation, the Hebrews look like Egyptians and Ethiopians. They're telling you in the translation, the Apostle Paul is mistaken for a Mizraim. They're telling you that in the translation. I'm not, everything we are awakening to is in here. and the Caucasian heathen bore witness that is true. They translated. See, now if black people translated this, people could say, see, that's for black people, you're just favoring yourself. But we didn't do it. We did not translate this book. This book was translated by a Christian heathen child of Yafet, and it testifies about you and me. See how the Most High did it? It testifies about you and me. It testifies what we look like. It testifies about our slavery. It testifies about our Messiah. It testifies about you and me. And we didn't translate that. A heathen translated. Then they try to say, well, King James wrote the Bible. Now that's real stupid. That's real stupid. Because it says King James Bible. Some idiot will say, well, King James wrote it. No, King James didn't write this Bible. It's called the King James Version because he put his approval on it to be translated. Because he was the king. That's how heathen did it. And it's ignoramuses that try to say, well, King James wrote it. And they say, well, King James was this or King James. Who cares? It's because his name is this. He did not write the book. He did not translate the book. You understand? William Tyndale translated this here. Okay? A heathen from England. A Christian heathen from England. He translated this. See? He translated this. And that's what it says in it. It says, diligently translated from the original tongues. It's the only version of the Bible that says that. Diligently translated from the original tongues. And it's telling you that you heathen with brown skin are the true Israelites. This book is telling you that. Isn't that amazing? To me, that just verifies that it's the book, that it's the one we're supposed to have. Because if you're looking at it from man's perspective, you would think William Tyndale would have made the European the centerpiece here. But he didn't. Israel's the centerpiece here. And even though they didn't know who Israel was, they're writing a translation that tells you. And they were not supposed to know. Because it's for the awakened ones to find out. And as we find out and we bear witness to what it's saying, nobody can controvert that. It's right there in the book. It's right there. But only we have been given eyes to see. That's purposely done. Praise the Most High. So now, Daniel brings us to the God of forces that divides the land for gain, that enslaves the saints and persecutes them, that tramples the truth to the ground, that exalts itself above the Most High, and causes the whole earth to follow it. The Bible just told us all about that. Isn't that amazing? That is amazing. And we don't have to guess because we see it right in front of us. Now, I'm going to stop here because you got the point. You got to this part now. So you can see Christianity is the God of forces. You can see what they've done. I mean, look, am I lying when I say the Dutch came to South Africa and took over and created apartheid? Are there anybody that bear witness to that? How about Leopold in Belgium? Was that true? How about the Spanish that called that island Dominican Republic with the capital Santo Domingo? What about the Puerto Ricans that understand that they Taino, but they speak Spanish? Can they bear witness? What about when you go to Mexico and every town has a Jesuit statue in it? Jesuit statue from Rome in Mexico. And they speak Spanish and they're all Spanish, but they still have the original languages of the Yucatan, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, but they all speak Spanish. So everybody is bearing witness of their colonization. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's bearing witness of those that were the God of forces that came and divided the land for gain. Everybody bearing witness just by living. You're speaking Spanish. Where you get that from? That wasn't your original language. Your name wasn't Martinez. Your name wasn't Garcia. Where'd you get that from? You're bearing witness. Why does there African nations that speak hundreds of different languages in Africa, right? But Ghanaians, along with their native tongues, they speak English. So do Nigerians. And if you're from the Ivory Coast, it's really called Côte d'Ivoire, a French colony. And Mali is a French colony. Senegal is a French-speaking nation. Now, how did they learn French? They got their own languages. How did they learn French? How did the Congo learn how to speak Portuguese? There you go. Everybody is just by being, you're bearing witness what happened to you. I'm speaking English. That wasn't the original language of my ancestors. It was Hebrew. How come I can't speak Hebrew? Because my people were colonized by the English. So we speak English, and we have English sounding names. Because the names that we have were once slave owners of our people. In fact, my boss asked me, he said, your last name Glasgow. He said, where'd that come from? Scotland? I said, no, it come from a slave owner in Georgia. And he started laughing. He said, but that's true. I said, that I am telling you, I'm telling you, it comes from a slave owner in Georgia. That's where my name comes from. He said he must have been Scottish. I said, I don't care. Sure. Don't matter to me where he was from. He was a slave owner in Georgia. That's where he came from. That's where my family name came from. See, when you start to understand that, don't see people try to say, oh, is that Scottish? No, it might be Scottish. Maybe so the slave owner might have been Scottish or Irish or whatever. But that ain't where I got my name. That's where he got, that's where his mama and daddy gave him his name. He put his name on us because he owned us. Why do you think there's so many Jeffersons among us? What, you think you came from the country Jefferson came from? Or did Jefferson just own your mamas and daddies? Or Washington? Where'd that come from? You think Denzel is some English European descendant? Maybe, but he had a deadbeat daddy, slave owner, and rapist. That's where he got the name from. That's where he got the name from. And all of the names we got, we carrying from slave owners that owned our people. And so we bear witness by our names what happened to us. Just by our names and the languages we speak, we're bearing witness who we are. Okay? And they don't like that. They don't like that at all because it brings truth. And the last thing a society built on lies wants to hear is the truth. We'll continue this by the grace of the Father tomorrow. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Father, Yah, lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Peace, family of Israel. Shalom.